It's one of those events we only play in the Commonwealth Games, so it's quite different. Obviously the court's another half a court wider. The tin goes right down, so the play is completely different, the attacking options are different, so it adds a completely different element. And then you get people who stay to one side of the court. You might have two left-handed players playing together, so they've got big forehands working together, mixed doubles. It does definitely create a different dynamic. It also depends if you've got the women with two forehands hitting across to each other. That creates a different kind of matchup, or if you've got two right-handed women on one side, it's then the men picking and choosing when to get across onto that side. So yeah, it's tactically very different. You need to get on court as much as you can to sort of get used to that, because there's nothing like playing practice matches for sort of reading those patterns of play. But it's a difficult balance going into the Commonwealths with obviously a single preparation being massive and the biggest part, but you still need to get those doubles matches in, just so that when after the singles is finished, you're sharp and ready to go. Tez has been great. I've enjoyed playing with her. We haven't played for too long. We started in the summer together, and we've definitely got better since then. I'd like to get on court a few more times, but things are starting to get busy again now, so we haven't had probably as much time as we'd like. But yeah, we'll get a couple of good hits in before Glasgow, and obviously that's pretty big for the seedings for the Commonwealth Games. So we want to be sharp and get some good wins there for sure. Like I've said it before, I just think it's so important for squash to break out of that normal squash audience. It gets on TV, it gets the coverage that we only get every couple of years. So it's huge for squash to break out of that and be part of a sport, on the big stage there. So a win there is different from a win, in a British Open or a World Championships win. It's hard to compare them, but it's just different because the coverage is so much bigger, and it's a chance for us to showcase what the sport has to offer, and it reaches out to people who don't normally follow any of the squash tournament to tournament, but they're suddenly interested because it's on TV, it's getting coverage. They realise how intense, fast-paced, how difficult it is. So there's that element that it puts a huge amount of emphasis on the Commonwealth Games for us. It's big for me being at home games. The Gold Coast was great fun, and we had a good time, and you've got that unbelievable athletes village, you've got the weather, we had a great time there for those couple of weeks. That was great, and obviously it's going to be different in Birmingham, but that's like a home games for me. I've lived there for quite a few years now, and I'm going to have a lot of friends and family there, so that's going to be that's exciting for me. And yeah, they're trying to increase they're trying to create a legacy around the games. There's a glass court going into a Grand Central Station in Birmingham, which is exciting. They're going to have a 5K tournament there, as well as bringing in kids from local schools and things like that. So they're trying to create that, and I think getting it in that kind of station means that sponsors are getting access from outside of squash audience again. I think that's what that's where we need to reach, isn't it? Not squash players who support squash events, and that's great. We need to have it in train stations where people are seeing it who don't normally see it, and then that increases the profile all the time. So yeah, things like that are great, and I hope we get more and more of that going into the games. I mean, I was going into that tournament at 40 in the world. I wasn't seeded to do particularly well. I was seeded probably outside the top 10 for the Commonwealth Games, and 40 in the world. So yeah, I mean, that was a tough experience for me. It was I had some tough matches in a row, and I was very close to medaling there. But it was such a big experience on that kind of stage, and that's huge. It made me sort of realise what getting to the late stage of these tournaments is like, and that was my first sort of point getting to that stage. And then yeah, I sort of pushed on from there and started to get some wins. I knew I was getting towards that level, and I hadn't done it at that point. But yeah, that was massive, and we got great coverage coming out of that, and that was huge for me at that point.